Hey everyone, welcome to the show after the show, the Instant Pot version. So for today, Adam, say hello.
Hi there.
So for the Instant Pot version, I wanted to tell you my other experiences working with the Instant Pot and how that went, because it's been quite the journey. So the very first thing I made was chicken stock. And that went really well. And actually, making stock is one of the best uses of this. Like if you ever have any reason why you don't want to make homemade stock, this makes it a lot easier. It takes a fraction of the time. So for the chicken stock, I did 40 minutes. Still worked out really well. And then we made pork stock, which, how long did that take? Well, my husband wanted to get like every last ounce of gelatin out of the pork bones. So he cooked it for, I think, 2.5 or maybe 3 hours. 3 hours. And the bones were literally crumbling apart. Like I never cook my pork stock to the point where the bones are, like you can take a piece of bone and break it in your hands. I never take it that far when I make it. And I usually do it 3 hours stovetop. But 3 hours in the Instant Pot gets everything out of the pork bone. So it's a much stronger stock for the same amount of time. If you don't have time, you can do like less time, like probably 1.5 hours would do it and get you a decent stock. So that has worked really well. One thing I really like about making stock in the Instant Pot is that one, you don't have to worry about the liquid volume going down, because it won't. With stovetop stock, it's there for so long that you kind of have to keep an eye on it, make sure you haven't lost too much liquid. Another thing is then you don't have a pot of stock steaming in your home for 3 hours, which for me in a small apartment is a big deal, because like if the smell gets everywhere, it heats up the room. It's just, it's just not pleasant. So when it's enclosed, it's like nothing is happening. And so you don't, like in terms of smells and things like that, you don't have to worry about it. You can technically let it go and leave the house while it's happening. Instant Pot doesn't recommend that, just because, it's a pressure cooker, right? But if you were gonna do that, make sure it's well on its way, meaning it's reached temperature, it's cooked for a while, looks like everything's okay, there's no leakage or anything. Then if you want to slip out and grab something real quick and come back, which I did once, it'll probably be fine. But don't leave until it's reached temperature and you know that it's good to go. So stock has worked out really well. And then I used my chicken stock to make Hainanese chicken rice. This is where it didn't go so well. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do like Instant Pot Hainanese chicken rice. And there were actually 2 different things I could have done. So when I cook Hainanese chicken rice, I poach the chicken at a low temperature so that it slowly cooks, kind of like sous vide, at 165, so it's super juicy and tender. There is a mode in the Ultra model where I can set the cooking temperature exactly at 165 and sort of get like a sous vide type environment in there. But I wanted to try the pressure cooking, because like that's what everyone gets the Instant Pot for, right? The pressure cooking. See if I can make Hainanese chicken rice extra quick. So I put in 2 pounds of chicken, 2 whole breasts, and 3 pieces of chicken thighs in the pot. I used their guideline where it says, how much to cook chicken breasts for and all that. And I even cut that down by half, because I looked at that and I was like, that seems way too high. It says 6 minutes per pound. I was like, that's going to overcook the chicken. So I did 3 minutes per pound. So I did 6 minutes on high pressure. Came out and I let it cool for, I think, only 5 minutes before I released all of the pressure. And it came out, the chicken breast was completely and thoroughly overcooked. Like, so overcooked. It was dry. Internal temperature was literally 212. Like, it was boiling inside. So, I haven't retried it yet, but to me, I just feel like the Instant Pot, the pressure cooker, is not good for something where the doneness is not negotiable. Like if you need something to be perfectly cooked and not a little bit overcooked, not a little bit undercooked, this is not a place to use it, because it cooks so quickly, and then you kind of have to let it cool a little bit before you open in some cases. So things like chicken breast didn't work. The chicken thighs turned out okay, actually, because chicken thighs are a lot more resilient and you can overcook chicken thighs without really, you know, like it's a lot more forgiving. So if I were to do that recipe with only thighs, would have been okay. But the breast, definitely dry. And then I also use Instant Pot to cook the rice for Hainanese chicken rice, which is rice cooked in sauteed in chicken fat and then use chicken broth. And that didn't work out well either. I used their rice guideline. No, I used the rice function. There's a rice button on here. So use the rice button, which you would think would be the right thing to do. But no, it undercooked my rice. And so that didn't work out well. I know you can cook rice in an Instant Pot, like plain rice in an Instant Pot, but that rice function doesn't work well, at least for the Hainanese chicken rice. Plain rice might be a different story. So anyway, so those are a few things. So my takeaway from the Instant Pot is that I love it for the time saving. I love it for the fact that it's clean and doesn't smell up the apartment, which is actually for filming, it's really cool because we have no ventilation here, and whatever we cook, Adam's place just ends up smelling like that thing for like the next week. So it's really nice, and it's nice in that sense. And you can set it and let it go. It's nice in that sense too. When you have open flame on, you kind of always have to keep an eye on it. But I do not recommend it if you are particular with the doneness of the meat. And also, it doesn't save you as much time as you think it might, because, as I mentioned in the Massaman video, sure, it takes 30 minutes to cook the beef, but it takes 10 minutes to heat it up, it takes 10 minutes to cool it down, and then you still got to add the vegetables and all this stuff. So all in all, that whole thing probably took an hour to make. Still a time save from the 3 hours that it would have been, but, you know, like, make sure you take into consideration the preheating, the cooling down, and what else in that recipe cannot be done in the pressure mode. So that's it. That's my initial review of a pressure cooker, of the Instant Pot. I would love to know what you think. If you have one, let me know what you've been using it for, what's been successful, and so on and so forth. Anything to add?
Yeah, what about people who have pressure cookers that aren't an Instant Pot?
There are many other brands. I know a friend of mine has like a Breville brand, and they work in a very similar way.
Will they be able to use this recipe?
Yeah. Because it's still, you don't have to use. Instant Pot is just a brand that most people have, but if you have a different brand, it will work in the same way. Even if you have a stovetop pressure cooker, it would work in the same way as well. Like, because
there's less control, though.
Yeah, it's just that if you have a stovetop pressure cooker, you would just saute things on the stove and then close it, let it cook. I've never used a stovetop pressure cooker, so you would have to time it yourself. Obviously, the cool thing about the Instant Pot and why these things are so popular is it's programmable. You can set the timer, let it go, and you don't have to worry about it. With the stovetop pressure cooker, you can't do that, right? So it's like a rice cooker. You know, you don't have to go back to turn off the heat. It just turns off by itself. So that's the benefit of it. But this recipe will work with any other brand of pressure cooker as well. Apparently, America's Test Kitchen did a review of all the multi-cookers, they call them, out there. And Instant Pot is not the one that they recommend. They recommended a different one. I don't remember which one it is, but I got the Instant Pot because this is by far the one that most people have. All right, I hope that was helpful. And again, I would love to know if you've worked with pressure cooker before, what you think. So far, I think in terms of how the meat tastes and the texture, can't tell difference between stovetop and pressure cooker at all. I haven't done, obviously, too many different things, but so far, so good. All right, you guys, thank you as always for your support, and I will see you next time. Bye.